It's our special guest, our very special guest here tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, people, please welcome to the tea our featured guest. He's the merman with the plan to go from the snows of Michigan to the sandy tablelands of the Grand Canyon State. He's the human selfie stick with his chin up to life and no fox given. The Motor City madman and rock star chain banger, hanging out with the peeps on the streets, the freaks and the weak and the geeks. He's been spinning his bees on the green side of the fairways, leading the fairway south to new pastures and better hair days. And he reps it all with a smile that warms the cockles of the heart. Please welcome the Booyah Bubba of the Scottsdale Beer Museum. Joining us a mere 2 nights ahead of one of the biggest and best tournaments in the world, Keith Merman Murray.
Thank you. Thank
Nice.
you. Oh, man. That was an amazing introduction. Thank you, Mr. B. That's awesome. So
Welcome
great
to
to
the
be
show,
here with you
Keith.
guys. Good, good. Another beautiful
Thanks.
day in Scottsdale.
Yeah, what's the weather going to be like?
We got a chance of showers tomorrow for check-in in the Fly Mart. So, but you know, in Arizona, that can be hit or miss. Probably just be like a little 20-minute quick pass, hopefully. And then it's going to be going into a beautiful weekend. We're looking at 70s, basically Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Wow.
So not too shabby. Probably high 60s
Nice.
Thursday. So should
We
be
might-
pretty good.
Just
Nothing wrong with high 60s out there, though.
as an honorary Canadian being so close to the border there from your native land in Michigan, you remember the slushy, snowy streets, and that's exactly what we're in the middle of here. So
Ooh.
you ain't missing nothing up here, my friend.
Yeah, I do not miss any of that. That's exactly why I moved out here. When I got out here, within weeks of moving out here, somebody from back east was just like, "Yeah, man, we ain't shoveling sunshine." Like, exactly, that is perfect. So that really became my mantra. I'm not shoveling sunshine.
That's a great
So
one.
yeah,
For sure.
do not miss that at all.
So for those of you who don't out there who don't know who you are, you're Keith Murray. You are a longtime Discraft representative, general manager for sales and for the pro team. Also, you are the current owner of Spinners on the Green, as well as longtime tournament director of the Memorial Championships, presented by Discraft, of course.
There you go.
An amazing resume. You've been a real strong promoter. You played, here and there, where neither of the three of us are any great shakes at the game, but it's what you can do to bring to the table. And you brought so much to the table, really growing the sport in your own way, and a very strong way too. So, first of all, let's acknowledge that for sure.
Oh, I appreciate that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
great. I definitely do what I can. I basically got started way back in '98, which is crazy, and came in without even knowing disc golf, answered an ad in the paper for a customer service job at Discraft.
Is that
Wow.
right?
So, yep.
Were you
And
playing then?
no, nope, never heard of disc golf.
Really? So
Wow.
you got introduced from the business end.
Yep,
Interesting.
we got moved out here. I'd moved from, I guess at that point I was living in Canton, working in Plymouth, Michigan, moved out to Walled Lake, and then the drive to Plymouth was just horrible. So I started looking for a job near where we just moved, and Discraft was in Walled Lake at that time, right around. I mean, it was less than a 5-minute drive for me. So went in, met Gail McCall. That was my interview. We spent probably close to 2 hours talking. If anybody knows Gail, she was definitely a fan of talking.
Right.
She was one of the owners of Discraft with Jim Kenner. And so, yeah, it was great. What an amazing introduction to meet Gail. And then I started there shortly after, got off really well with Jim and started on the disc golf side, and picked up the game once I started there and absolutely fell in love. They handed me a magnet, said throw this for 2 weeks and then we'll go from there. And yeah, it was great. Who knew what would come after that?
That's like every disc golfer's dream. Like when they look back in their career, they're like, I wish I was like living near a factory, or I knew someone that worked for the factory, or if I could have been working for them. And you just answered a job in a local paper, and look what you turned out to be. The
Who
game,
knew, right?
the game picks you
Yeah.
hard.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the culture was amazing. That's the one thing. I fell in love with the people. It was such a great crowd of people, from the folks that worked at Discraft, from the folks that ran Discraft. You mentioned spinners earlier, and one of the things that I am co-owner with Dan Ginley, and actually he was one of the earliest guys I met. He's been sponsored by Discraft since the early 90s. So Dano was one of the first guys I talked to on the phone. He's been such a huge promoter of Discraft out here in the West Coast, and Arizona specifically, for so long. And so we hit it off really well, and it was amazing. Just everybody I talked to and met was just so welcoming, and yeah, I just feel like this is probably the best group of people in about any given industry I've ever met.
Still is. Even
It's hard to
still.
beat it.
Mhm.
You know, it's really just the folks across the board, you know, the hospitality and just, I mean, I was away from touring. I've been away from touring for like 16 years now this year. And I don't really miss playing tournaments, but I totally miss seeing the people that I saw, you know, on a regular basis, on an annual basis for 10 years in a row. And, you know, I mean, like B is a perfect example of it. You know, I haven't seen him in person and I don't even know, quite a while, probably 15 years or 16 years. But,
Yeah.
you know, like the one thing that's nice about, you know, doing trophies for you is delivering them in person and seeing you once a year. So it's, yeah, like Friday. Or
It's connections you
maybe
make,
not till
you know?
Saturday morning, but yeah, I'm not getting out of here until Thursday night at the very earliest.
Oh, really? Oh, hurry up. It's Busty's already here. I got a buddy in town. So yeah, everybody,
Oh,
there's a
boy.
lot of Alaskans started showing up last week. You know, KJ got into town a couple of weeks ago. Anywhere where it's cold, everybody's starting to show up early.
Of course they
Well,
did. Why wouldn't they? Yeah,
Of
that's
course,
totally
yeah.
makes sense.
They have to
Yeah, it's just
acclimatize.
well, these trophies have been tough this time, so I'll tell you more about that later. But yeah, they definitely put me through my paces. But you're
Mhm.
gonna be pleased. It's really I'm looking forward to showing
Awesome.
them.
Nice. Well,
Super excited.
before we get into the memorial, because we definitely want to cover that for sure, and we want to cover your Arizona chapter. But if you don't mind, let's just go back
Yeah.
to Michigan. I mean, you born and raised there. Those are the courses that you first learned how to play on. Uh, how soon did you become the pro team manager, and what was your role in that? What was your function with that?
That was pretty quick. I think that Jim saw I had a good relationship with people. I was able to talk to people very easily, approach people. You know, my one of my big things early on was how many people could I get to switch? You know, that was my number one. That was just like, okay, we got to find people that will switch over, and hopefully around the West Coast. And so it was pretty much, there wasn't anybody doing it either. Jim was basically dealing with players, or we had a woman that worked there named Diane, but she dealt with custom ultimate, and so she didn't want to deal with players. But next thing you know, I love dealing with players. So I was just like, yeah, I'll talk to these guys. Let's do it. And so that's where I really started talking more with Dano too, because not only was he ordering a bunch of stuff for his wholesale, that was way before spinners. He was ordering a bunch of stuff for his wholesale, but also team stuff. So I would definitely work with him on a lot of team Discraft stuff back in the day. And when I got there, we're talking a team of like a dozen. I
Yeah.
mean, it was minimal. Excuse me. It was Dan Stokely,
So
Mike
like,
Randolph. I think Brad Schick was already there, and Ben Bont was already there. Ron Russell was already there.
right.
Man, there was a few others that I'm forgetting now all of a sudden, but a handful. I mean, you know,
I mean,
not very
Elaine.
many folks.
Um,
Elaine was, Elaine was already
um,
sponsored.
Cup,
Juliana, Wise Cup, Wise
yeah.
Cup,
Yeah.
Juliana, Elaine.
These are all Googleable names. People should be researching these names.
Right,
These are
exactly.
foundational names, and you got to like deal with them on a kind of fairly. And you know, I mean, you would see when we would go to tournaments, we see the players at the tournaments. It's rare you see them in other, non-tournament related functions, or you talk to them through the week, or maybe
Right.
stress and pressures off a little bit. So do you have any fun stories or anything from those early days, or
Oh,
in your days of testifying for Discraft, were you ever manage to convert anybody?
yeah. I mean, crazy stories. A lot of it. I mean, I dealt with them primarily off the course. You know, I was whatever they needed at any time. If there was an issue, or if I had to run to get something, especially when I was on site. But even a lot of times when I wasn't on site, I'd get calls and need to jump into situations.
Like
one of the
bailing people out of
craziest.
jail or
I luckily never had to bail people out of jail, but I definitely had to write a few letters,
ride.
letters that would kind of help explain situations and such. One of the crazy times was though, actually put me through a lot of crazy times, was getting Cam Todd. I met Cam back in 2001, basically right after he won his world championships. We had hung out some, me, him, and Leslie at, I want to say USDGC in '01, early days of USDGC.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we had hung out that year. And then next thing you know, the next year I get a call and it's Cam, not really happy with what's going on over there, what his deal was. And so next thing you know, yeah, all right, man, let's give it a try. Let's see what happens. Bring him over. It was actually a pretty big boom for us at the time. And then we had some really good stuff. And then, you know, he has an incident at a tournament. It goes crazy, what we'd call viral now at the time. And so next thing you know, I just had to take that mantra of, you know, there is no such thing as bad press. It was, you know, trying to get behind him and go through a bunch of hoops of rules and, you know, things changed after that. It was crazy, but that I didn't see a bunch of the course. I mean, there wasn't as much video as there is now.
Sure.
Not nearly as much.
Sure,
So
right.
you couldn't see a lot of course play, course demeanor, stuff like that. So you just had to rely on what you heard and what was, you know, the person you were talking to, and hopefully figure it out. So yeah, it was sometimes tough kind of winging what issue or what how we're going to deal with certain issues when we got two different stories. And but yeah, I look back at it and think, man, I really wish I would have had some of this coverage back then to really get down to the nitty gritty, you know. But yeah, there was always something.
Well, and that was really kind of indicative of the time frame, no matter where you were at. You know, I mean, what like, for example, you know, when you started with those 12 people, I mean, there was a set of rules then, and some of them were probably just implied. Some of them weren't all written in stone, and then all of a sudden, at some point, something happened, and then it all had to be written in stone, and it had to, you know, it all had to be spelled out. It couldn't just be a buddy deal anymore, or a handshake and a nod and a couple of, you know, pats on the back or whatever. And I think that applies. I mean, that's one of the things, you know, going all the way back to '01 and beyond, even to '99 at USCGC too, where there's something that comes up, some sort of oddity that, well, how do we deal with this? What's the ruling in this situation? And it's, you know, people like us that have 25, 30, 40 years of, well, up to 40 years, none of us do, but I mean, you get all the smart stuff you know, and you couldn't come up with these situations until they actually happen. And they're still going on, not nearly as many though, but like back the times that you're talking about, man, it really, that's one of the things I think about a lot is what, you know, what was it? Okay. And what made us think about that? What made us have to do that? You know, I mean, and
you're making it up as we went along.
Yeah.
You know,
so
like a lot of times.
Exactly. And we still are. I mean,
right.
But
things come up and yep, you make it work.
So, but it's interesting because for people who don't know now, I mean, now there's proliferation of companies out there, but at the time, especially when you were, you know, just right outside the main door of the guy who started it and began that kind of that side of the revolution, it was a two-sided battle. It was Innova and Discraft, and you know, Discraft was the first one to really have a team. Innova had Ken as like the primary guy. I don't know if they even had a team at like for a long time. I think you guys
for a long time it was just like the world champions if they wanted to play for them.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it was the pro world women and the pro world man, and that was all they had. And but even honestly, okay, so I was there when Kenner approached a certain player and took him to dinner at the Great Lakes Open in '96 and said, "Hey, why don't you come play for me?" And Kenny had to go back to Innova and say, "Hey, why aren't you offering me this kind of stuff?" And that's where the Innova team was born. So you could give Kenner credit for starting the Innova team, whether or not they'll admit it or not.
I mean, that's why there's an 8-time rock.
I was actually
started with an 8-time.
Yeah, I was actually hanging with Kenny when all that happened, and it was right before That was in 96, right? That was right before the
It might
South
have been
End.
even earlier because I know even when Dano got picked up in 91, 92, that was one of the instigators for Jim to sponsor Dano, was that, okay, look, you're going to see me giving players stuff. You're not getting anything. You should come play for us, you know? And so I know that it probably even earlier,
Well, I'm not saying the
Dano
only
was in his
conversation,
ear, but sure,
but
yeah.
you know, but like the one that really pushed the camel, you know, the one heaviest straw for the camel there really hit in
Yeah,
96 because
yeah.
like I met up with Kenny in South Bend. And I was like, I didn't know I just threw everything in the truck and headed north. You know, I didn't know who I was to stay with, what I was going to do. I was totally winging it. It was going to be my first pro worlds. I'd been the Great Lakes Open in 95 as an AM and done pretty well there and really had a great time. And so I definitely wanted to go to that again. And
Mhm.
first person I run into at Rum Village and they were leaving was Kenny with Bob Dodge and his girlfriend and not Dodge's girlfriend, but
Oh,
Kenny's
God.
girlfriend. But like they were like, you don't need to worry about this course. Come with us. And so then I went and practiced all the other courses with them over the next couple of days, and then went to the Great Lakes Open and stayed with. We split a room right until the tournament started, and then I had other arrangements. I don't remember who I stayed with back then, but anyways, long and short it was Kenny went to dinner with Kenner during
Mhm.
that. Like we were all hanging out pretty much every night, and then all of a sudden I was like, "Where's Kenny?" And they go, he's at dinner." And I go, "Well, he's not having dinner with us." And then they told me the story, and I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh." And then when Kenny came back, he told me the rest of the story.
And
And
that
you know,
would be about
that's
right because that's exactly when they started. They didn't have anything. And even when I got there with a few people in 98, it wasn't really like there was official agreements, like you were saying. Be like, it was handshake deals. It was,
you get
we'll
100
give you some
discs because I
discs,
said so.
right, exactly, and so yeah, I had to really get in there and put together some different tiers because I'm like, yeah, these aren't all the same folks. I mean, we want to, I was also a big fan of picking up the local pro because I'm like,
Yeah,
they
sure.
influence so much, or folks that run big tournaments. Larry Bledsoe, when he was doing Bowling Green, I was like,
Right.
oh my God, that's a
Yeah, I
perfect.
hadn't heard that name in a long time.
Right, I know that's a crazy one. Brad Schick actually popped in not too long ago.
Oh, we're having him. I
Speaking
already
of
called him.
Midwest,
He'll be on
Nice.
soon.
nice,
He's
nice.
he's old. He's an old favorite of mine, just generally speaking. You know, I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
Sure.
like that. I
absolutely.
mean, he came to Toronto a bunch of those times too. Like,
Hmm.
oh God, I hate this to admit I don't remember his wife's name.
I was just gonna say that. Is it Jen? I want to
I
say
don't know. Do
Jen.
you know B? You want to laugh, or you want to
I,
be the third one that
I,
doesn't
did,
remember?
I don't even know if I ever knew it, but I don't want to be the guy on camera to say I can't remember.
Well, I
She
already did
was
it.
awesome too. She was such a party girl. She was great. Always fun
I
time.
need help. You know, I already. I mean, that's one of my biggest downfalls is forgetting people's names. But I won't forget her. You know, I mean, it's just one of those things. But that's one thing that's been really cool last couple of years is Schick. Well, last year Schick qualified, and you know, like I don't see him. I mean, I had that man probably 15 years since
Hmm.
I'd seen him, and so you
That
know,
was
and
probably me too. Yep.
He comes up to Toronto still every once in a while, and I'll see him. They play the Timmel, and he's delivering the mail every
and he'll
every
still whoop a
tournament.
man's
So
ass with a bunch of round widgets too. Don't kid yourself. Whole bunch of them.
I remember
Yeah.
my first ever big tournament that I ran on the island was '98, and for the pro tournament, I got into this thing of doing skins for the top four. Pro first place played with Masters, second place Masters, first place played with in best shot doubles, and it was Schick and Malton against no, it was Schick and Honegger against Malton and Chappie, and it was just I didn't get to see it because I was back at Tournament Central crunching all the
Mhm.
numbers and getting everything ready. But the reports I got was just like, and that's 25 years ago. Brad Schick was
Dude,
playing.
that would have been epic.
Man. Right? Where's the
Yeah,
cameras for that?
there
Man.
was one shot that Malton made, and this is you never saw these old island baskets, but they were like Mach ones, and they only had I think 8 chains like around the whole circle, 8 strands, and they're big, thick iron, kind of ship chains. But they had these S hooks on these circular things that were this way instead of fixed this way, so the chain could
Oh,
travel like a
All right.
240-degree arc.
What?
Yeah. So Malton, his principle all the time was he would go up there and you'd see him just like adjusting
Peter
perfectly
Manzo?
to his line.
I've
And
seen
he
him
goes,
do that
God.
since, not on those baskets.
okay,
I
well,
remember seeing him do that a time or two, you know, you're
But-
like, what are you doing?
that's where he
That was an
learned it.
old, deep-rooted bad habit.
Wow.
But he
That's
made
hilarious.
he sunk a stingray from like 120 feet on a putt to push the skins because I don't know, somebody just rolled it right around the corner, like right around the pin itself.
Probably
It
Chappie.
was probably Chappie. That does sound like a Chappie move. But anyways, let's get back to you. There's your first time on the island was 2003.
That sounds
You
right. I play open.
Traveled up. You played. I believe you played open. I should have looked at that.
I think just because there was a spot, because you were like, shit, you could qualify for USDGC.
Okay.
There was something weird.
I think I did qualify at that one for one of the few times I ever did as a player.
That was when we did have qualifiers. So there was a lot of people who were able to get into the bubble because of that.
03 was the first time I talked you into doing Discraft. Eh? I remember that was
That's
always
true.
a thing. Let's get some Discraft going. We did the
Well,
full colors, right? The trolleys. Is that the first
Yeah.
year?
That was that the first year? No, that was the second year. The first year was just basic,
Stamp.
hot foil
Might not have
stamp.
had it ready by maybe.
I know that my relationship with Innova at the time, just prior to that, had gone a little south, and I talked to you, and I have to attest, yeah, everything that Gail and Jim saw in you. Immediately, our first phone call, it was just like it was like talking to an old friend. You made it really easy and fascinating. I've come from the land of Innova, and I don't know any of these discs. Can you tell me what this does? Tell me what that does.
I was super excited to come to town. I mean, that was my first time in Toronto, period. So I was super stoked.
Yeah, you got to play
Such
the
a
island.
nice city.
Oh, amazing.
When you can come in July and it's like good weather, and then
Oh,
I'm not gonna-
dude.
I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie to you. I'm looking out
dude.
the window right now, and it's
Not July.
not gonna lie,
Yeah, but it was 80 today here.
80.
Dang.
Yeah.
It's a little above normal for you, isn't it?
It
A
is.
little, but not a lot. It was enough. It's enough above normal that it makes everybody go, "Oh yeah, it's spring now. We don't have to worry about it. We got it. It's over." And it's like, don't kid yourself. You're gonna get those clothes out. You're gonna get all those clothes out again, at least 2 or 3 more times, maybe just for a day.
Do you remember what winter was like, Keith?
I do. Actually, I went back home for Christmas. Oh,
you
what
did.
the hell was
I was gonna
thinking?
say, based on text
Oh
we
my
exchanged, he got a
God.
good dose of
was
it when he went to visit his
gnarly.
mom at Christmas.
Yeah, thank God I wasn't flying Southwest. Jesus. Oh man, it was
Oh
crazy.
man, no kidding.
We were with the wind chill. There was 30-mile-an-hour wind, so it was minus 17 with the wind chill. I was just like, nope, I didn't want to leave the house. And I saw the sun for about a total of 15 minutes over 2 weeks. I mean, it was just cloudy, gray. But then by the time I left, it was tickling 60s. It's about to set a record. They had a weird heat wave pop up that basically melted most of the snow right in time for me to leave. Oh, it was
There's
crazy.
no such thing as global warming.
I don't miss driving in it. Yeah, it was gnarly. Never
Wow.
again.
I mean, obviously it's done wonders for you. You look amazing. You're doing great out there. I mean, not having to salt the sidewalks or shovel the snow or do any of that extra work. Just
Being
wear
closed in.
like what
I
are you
felt
wearing?
like
A little thin,
I
top
do have a
there?
little. It's a long sleeve,
Long
kind of
sleeve.
golf top. Always repping the 3 stripes. But yeah,
Nice.
no, it's chilly for me now. I mean, I acclimated real quick. So when it hits 50, I'm like, "Brr." And today it was slightly overcast, and it hit about almost 70. So that wasn't too shabby. But then like when I leave here, I'll throw a little light jacket on. But yeah, nothing like I can get away with a hoodie all winter long, really, and be totally fine, which that's about as much as I want to, that's perfect.
So you've left the horrible weather but you've kept the terrible teams with you in your heart. And I'm talking
Did.
the Lions, they keep coming up on your Facebook feed. That is
Hey.
that's a tough team to have to back. I'm sorry.
And I was kind of done with football for a while, I was just over it. I was just kind of like, oh. But next thing you know, here comes Hard Knocks training camp with the Detroit Lions. I'm like, oh, I guess I'll watch it, man. I got sucked right back in, and those damn Lions, and they should have went this year. I mean, oh my God, like there's so many close games. So hopefully next year, the Big Tuna made a mention even during Super Bowl week, which was here, which was an amazing week. Big Tuna was in town in Scottsdale talking about how the Detroit Lions could be in Vegas next year. So I'm planning a trip to
Look
Vegas
at-
in February.
Look at
Let's
him go.
go.
Nice.
Calling it now.
It's been a while since you've made that trip.
No doubt. Pretty
How
much
long
since I
has it been
stopped
since you
drinking.
played that event?
Right?
Ooh, it's been a while. Probably. Well,
Since
even
you
the last
moved?
few years, I didn't play it. I just went and worked it, kind of. But yeah, probably. It's probably been like 07, 08. I might have went the first year moving here, but then once I move here and really take the reins, I'm so busy the week before. There's just no way, Jeff
Right.
always wants me to come down. And I'd love to, brother. Ours is the week before, not after. So a little bit easier on that side. But yeah, I do love it. Great town. Great town. But yeah, since I stopped drinking, I really, that was the main draw. Go to Vegas and just,
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
drink
That
all
makes sense.
day. That was what the city was about. So yeah, once I gave that up, it's not quite as interesting, but I still love getting there for the action. That is fun. So I'd definitely be looking forward to a Super Bowl down there. That'd be crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
I'm looking forward to going to a Stars game there.
That'd be
You know,
fun.
it's Vegas, and you can see already that it's a show if you watch it, if you watch a road game or whatever when your team's
Mhm.
playing there. And so I haven't made that one yet, but I'm definitely looking at some road trips. Like the Stars are going on one right here. They're doing 2 Kraken in 3 days, and then they're doing Vancouver and Calgary and Edmonton. And I was looking at that so hard, but
Right.
I already knew that I was going to do some other stuff this year, and just can't pull that off. But man, I'm definitely
You
going to
came
hit a
out that
road trip
one
next
year. That was a blast. This year would be tough. The Coyotes are playing at the stupid ASU stadium. They
We
had
were
that whole
talking
fight
about
with
that.
Glendale. Oh, it's crazy.
Well, they
So now
are.
I was looking up wings tickets, and they're like 2.25 for the cheapest. And because the problem is there's only like 2,500 seats or something, or
Oh,
2,000 seats.
50. It's 55, I think, officially.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Man, they must have really
5,500.
packed some in there.
Well, and I imagine they're finally selling out.
Well, and that's it. Yeah, now of course they're selling out the Blackhawks,
They
the
were already,
Wings, the
yeah,
Canucks.
they had a dip in sales this year, and they're selling out.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, it's so crazy. I think they
But
said it's going to be 3 years before that actual Tempe facility is done.
There's 3 different buildings that could house a hockey rink in that town that are bigger than that, and they can't get along in any of them. How's that working?
It's so weird. So weird. I know they should still be playing where the Suns are. They should
Why
still be
not?
splitting time. The Pistons and the Wings do it, and that's freaking hockey town. And we can
Stars
split
and the
time with the
Mavs. I
Pistons.
mean,
Come on,
it's
right? I mean, it makes
everybody.
sense.
the Raptors and the
Yeah.
Leafs.
Right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. I mean, it's pretty much. There's not really too many teams that aren't doing that. I mean, like the Devils don't have to probably split with anybody. Hurricanes don't have to
Right.
split with anybody. Tampa and Florida, Nashville. But still,
Yeah.
I'd say more than half of the teams are sharing with an NBA team, and maybe somebody else too.
Yeah. It's
Well,
just not
even,
a huge hockey market out here.
yeah, but even
They
if they're
need
not
the
sharing
help.
with the team, they're booking it for concerts and stuff too. It's getting used. So
Oh, they're still
That's
doing all
true.
that stuff in those other 2 buildings. They're just not playing hockey there.
yeah, it's not a hockey town. I mean, you go from
CUM
you
stupid.
go from a hockey town to no hockey town. I mean,
It's
but
crazy.
well, what's your sport though? Is it baseball? Is that why you got the Tigers tattoo on you?
Baseball is my
Right
go-to.
there,
That
right there.
is number one. Tigers. I love me some baseball. I wish they were here for spring training, but they're still in Lakeland, Florida. Fun fact: the Tigers created spring training. Basically, they're like, we can't practice up here, so they went down to
Nice.
Lakeland
Interesting.
80 or 90 some years ago, and it was
Wow.
like, yeah, the first couple of times they just went down there and practiced, rented a field for a week or a couple of weeks, whatever, and then it just more and more teams. I think some teams started to wanted to scrimmage with them in the nice weather. And so they'd come down there and boom, spring training was born apparently. But yeah, we get some great teams out here. It's really fun to try to get, even though spring training games, it's turned into, you might as well pay a ticket for a regular. I can get cheaper bleacher seats for the Diamondbacks during the season than some spring training games out here. It's
Wow.
like the
It's
Cubs.
just because it's limited parks and stuff.
Yeah, the
Limited size.
Cubs built a mini Wrigley out here, so it's like you're paying for the redevelopment of that mini Wrigley. It's like the Cubs charge a good amount. The Giants, of course, they just put a bunch of money into after winning the World Series, they put a bunch of money into their facility. They're right in Old Town Scottsdale. I could be at Giant Stadium in 10 minutes. The Angels are out here. They're still pretty reasonable. But it's fun when you go to the ones that have like the lawn outfield. And you can just bring a blanket or some chair,
right.
and just chill out
Yeah.
in the lawn outfield. It's awesome. But
Wow.
yeah, so I think they're starting to report. As a matter of fact, I think pitchers and catchers reported.
Oh
this
yeah,
week.
yeah. That's been going on already.
Or it might have been end of last week. Yeah, it might have
They're
been
playing
end of last
games.
week.
No, they're already
They're already
playing
playing.
games.
Oh no, that's right. Because yeah, it's the 28th.
There's
They
like-
have. They
I
started.
think they're 5 or 6 games in.
That's right. I remember seeing an
Nice.
announcement.
It's a long season with way too many games. I'm sorry, I'm not a baseball fan. 160. What do you need 162 for?
Oh, why
It
don't
is
they do
long.
40 and then let 16 teams in the playoffs? And then like people that have never known, like don't
That's
even
the
get me
other thing.
started on this. There's so many
It's
people
like
that are
liquid.
baseball fans that don't know anything about their team being a winner in the postseason or even being a participant
Right.
in the postseason
All I
because
know
Right.
is
so
all I
few
know is
teams make it.
the Jays won back-to-back years. That's all I know.
Yeah, see, and what happened since then?
Nothing, of course. Come
Not so
on.
much.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that to rub it in. I'm just saying
No,
like
no.
Right.
it's so few. I mean, my Royals are a perfect example. And in '85 when I graduated, they won the World Series and they didn't even go to the playoffs for 30 years. 3 decades in a row.
Right.
And then
only
they
had
go
that
to
one
game 7
run.
and lose.
Oh.
Game 7 of the World Series and lose, and then go to game 7 and win the next year.
Mhm.
then don't go to
And they got
playoffs
it pretty
for a while.
strong.
All I can say is I'm a Leafs fan, and it's been a drought since before I was born. I was born into a drought, boys.
Right. I got
Yeah.
lucky after the shit wings of the 80s and then got lucky in the 90s with just
Oh,
the
that was a
brushers.
It was a cruising team. Mason and I still talk about this game that we saw. It was the Wings and the Stars, Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals. In June I think it was June or maybe it was late May in Dallas at the old Reunion Arena, and
It was in
just-
June.
it was June.
It was the day before Hannah was born.
Okay.
Jamie
I will-
Langenbringer scored from center ice.
Ah,
Literally on Osgood,
It was
on no good,
Osgood.
right.
It was just
Freaking
a-
Osgood.
it was
on
one of
no
those
good. He
freaky-
sticks his stick out and it goes right in behind him.
And that was an overtime. That was
It was
the overtime
awesome.
win. It was just a
And
knuckleball ball that just bounced around.
And then in game 6, you guys stomped us and then
Yeah.
stomped the Caps 4 straight.
Right. We swept the
the
Caps.
Caps.
That was awesome. And what was the goalie? The Wall?
Oh, the
Hobby Boolin, Hobby Boolin,
No.
wasn't it?
Was it Javi Bulin on the Caps at that time, or
no, it was
it was the
no.
Wall? Didn't
Olaf.
they call him
Was it Olaf?
Olaf?
Kolzig. Oh yeah,
Oli the goalie.
Oli the goalie. That's
Yeah,
what it was.
Oli goalie.
Oli the
Yeah,
goalie.
they-
That's
like-
I
right.
said Olaf.
Ah.
Colzig,
Yeah,
that's
crazy,
right.
man.
It's
We
pretty
had some good
crazy.
runs, that's for sure. But unfortunately, we've been rebuilding for like the last 10 years. Sucks.
Well, I mean, you had, and you think about the talent that you had in the late '90s, early 2000s, especially, I mean, free agency and like there was a lot of movement that was happening around there, and in fact, they were able to lock up guys to long-term contracts who played incredible. I mean, Lidstrom maybe go down as maybe one of the best captains on the planet, and he
Right,
just took it over from Yzerman, and Yzerman
Right.
was like, look at what he's doing now. He's
The captain,
Yeah.
I mean, every 19 I see, I feel like, oh, they were a Heisman fan, which it was hard not to be unless you hated Detroit, unless you're anti-Wigs. But I mean, he was like, he was the man. That was some crazy times. And not to mention the Russians. I don't know if you
Right.
guys saw that documentary, but the Russian 5 documentary is actually really good and just talks about how, making deals, and they had the U.S. State Department on the phone. Have you been in contact
I've
with
seen
Sergei
part of that.
Fedorov? And man, it's crazy, dude. It was all kinds of nuts, and they're trying to dodge the feds and dodge the Russians. And he was escaping from like some friendly USSR game that was here. crazy, you know, and then getting Kozlov, because they actually signed Kozlov first, but then couldn't get him over here. And then, yeah, it was actually really interesting to see what lengths they went to get these guys.
It's weird how that was so commonplace back then, and then it went away. And then lately, there's been really, really, low level rumblings. But like Kirill Kaprizov had trouble getting back, for this season and in the summer last year. And then there was a couple other people that they were talking about, but then there was a whole lot of threat of that, and then nothing came of it.
Right. Which that's a lot of times just in general.
Just wants to go
A lot of rumbling and then
swing his dingling around and act like he's the most important person on the planet. Not necessarily.
So,
I think we covered everything else. We need to talk about the memorial a little bit.
All right,
oh shoot. Yeah, you're
let's
right.
get
No
into
doubt. We do
Me
got
and
that
B-
going on this weekend.
Me and B
Wait.
talked a little bit, and Paul was asking some questions, and one of the things he asked me about was the original name, which was the Bob West Memorial. And
That's
so,
right.
can you tell us a little bit about that transition from the Bob West Memorial just to the memorial? And I mean, I know a little bit of the story, but I'm sure you know it way better than I do.
Most definitely, most definitely. It started out as the Bob West Memorial way back. We're actually at our 35th anniversary, which is crazy. So this is the 35th. Yeah, right. I mean, it's
Amazing.
bonkers. So the Bob West Memorial. Bob West was a disc golfer whose brother, oh shoot, Will West. I almost blanked on that. They were both disc golfers, and Bob had died from a cancer, and I can't remember exactly which one, but he is taken with cancer back in. Yeah, this had to be almost been the late 80s. So then his brother Will wanted to do something to help commemorate his brother's death, and they both love disc golf. So they had a little Bob West Memorial tournament that was pretty small to begin with, more like friends getting together and remembering somebody. And then it just kind of grew from there. Before Dano, I want to say it was Hubie that was more running, or Jack Sella as well. Jack Sella and Hubie were very intricate in getting things going here in Arizona, and even getting Dano going. And then Dano starts taking it over, and really he and Sue kind of, kept it going, kept growing it. And then next thing you know, once I started working with them, the first time I came out in '99, I actually played, but it was still a 2-day. We were playing Saturday, Sunday, 2 rounds on Saturday, and then 1 round on Sunday with a final 9 after that. And me and Mike came out the first year in '99. So I'd been to Discraft for a year, talked to Dano on the phone for a year. And he was like, dude, you should come out. So in '99, me and Mike fly out to Scottsdale. We play the memorial. There's a players party Saturday night at Flicka's. Mike and I can't even go. We're beat. We haven't thrown a disc in 3.5,
Yeah.
4 months. I mean, it's Michigan. We're under snow, and so we just played 36 holes, and it's like, oh my God, we can't do anything. We were whipped and sunburned. So then Sunday rolls around, and it's like sleet, 45 degrees. I don't have any idea the desert's like this. The warmest thing I brought was a Lions tracksuit. So I'm like, what the hell? We're staying at Dan and Sue's, and I think I borrowed a sweatshirt from him and then put my tracksuit on over that. And then I want to say a pair of sweatpants and put my track pants under that. But man, we get out to Fountain and we're just warming up a little bit. And I'm like, dude, I don't think I can play in this stuff. I don't want to play in this stuff, And I'm like, yeah, I think I'm just going to go see if they need any help under the tent, because this just ain't my bag. And sure enough, they did need help. They did need, that was it. It was basically in that moment that I realized I belong on the other side of the table. I shouldn't be checking in. I should be checking people in, kind of thing. Because I just don't have a uber competitive spirit either. I'm like, I missed a shot. Oh, I bogeyed. Oh, I don't care. I mean, I just don't have that drive to be number one competitively in sports. So, yeah, I was just like, really enjoyed helping those guys out, problem solving, and whatever they needed, I was there for them. And so then when I came back in 2000, I was just there to help with whatever Dan and Sue needed, And so, yeah, it basically started growing. We started going to multiple days. We were one of the first events to do tea times. I mean, we really started modeling ourselves kind of after USDGC. You know, USDGC started
Right.
doing the travel day on Sunday. Daniel loved that. You know, so for a while there, we were doing Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. But yeah, we started doing the one course a day tea times because that's what people wanted too. They didn't want to play 36 or 48 in a day anymore, or 4 rounds over 2 days. You know, it's not a marathon. And how are you supposed to really bring your best, your A game twice in a day? I mean, it's really tough. So yeah, we basically started implementing all this and going to getting rid of the final nines, going to 1 round a day, going to tea times, fitting more people in. And then, yeah, it just kept growing that to a point to where it was probably the late 90s, early 2000s. Must have been early 2000s that it was like, you know what, the sport's grown so much that we should just go ahead, and people already referred to it as the Memorial. You know, even though it was still the Bob West Memorial, they just started, everybody referred to it as the Memorial. And so we decided to go ahead and just change it to the Memorial Championship because it had grown into a bigger event, but also to be more inclusive to all the disc golfers we had lost before us as well. So now we try to, you know, remember folks out there. We always encourage folks to send us, let us know if there's somebody that they care about that they passed. We get banner walls that are in memory of. And so basically we're basically trying to build that to where the wall, the banner wall OB line splitting holes 2 par 4s, 6 and 14 are basically in memory, like all the way down on both
Oh,
sides. And so
nice.
we'll just keep on, yeah, adding to that year after
I didn't even
year.
know about that, and I've been there
Yeah,
for a
yeah.
lot of them out of the last 20
Right.
years.
Because
So
that's something we, you know, we get a lot of T-sign partners. We call them early sponsors or early partners, and that gets them early registration. And sometimes they're not a business, you know, and it's like, well, hey, you're more than welcome to make an in-memory sign. They're like, oh my God, that's a great idea. I mean, unfortunately, we all lose people, you know, every year it seems like there's a handful of people that we're going to be missing. And it's a great way to help just kind of, you know, immortalize them, because we're going to keep those for as long as we can keep going. So yeah, I went to the Memorial Championship to kind of remember everybody. When we used to actually print programs, we used to have even a little list in there of folks. And then we always have Sue, Dano's wife, that passed in 2012 to stomach cancer, and Gail, who passed, the former owner of Discraft. She passed, God, it's been 2 years now. Might be 2 years now, but maybe even 3.
I think,
So
yeah, I think they're probably 2 or 3 actually.
yeah, we have in
It
memory
probably
signs for
is
them
towards
on
3.
one. We put them on one. But yeah, it's just so crazy that what something that was just a bunch of friends getting together turned into after 35 years. You know, now we got 432 players over here at Vista del Camino in Scottsdale, and at Fountain Park and Fountain Hills. It's just crazy. We got check-in tomorrow, so
You're
it's
using
going to
both
be busy
again,
week. Yep. So
Valley
that
and
gets us to the
Fountain?
432. So the pros will be out. It'll be the pros play Fountain, Vista. The AMs play Vista, Fountain. They finish on Saturday. Then we do an amateur awards ceremony on Saturday night, a players party as well, putting contest. And then Sunday, the top 40% of the pros make the cut, and they'll play in the finals on Sunday for them. So always a good crowd. And with the weekend, we were able to allow spectators back last year, which we had to turn away essentially 2 years ago. So that was just bonkers. I mean, there were so many people out.
It
The
was
weather holds
definitely.
up, right? You know, I mean, it was just so many people. So looking forward to another big crowd out there this week.
Oh,
That'd be awesome.
that's incredible. You know, to get to the point where, and this is where we talked to Jonathan about the USDGC, that they're charging tickets to the spectators. To get to that point where we have such an immense gallery of people, like I've seen some of the photos out there, it staggers the mind, especially when you know where this comes from. And I mean, this is just now in the growth. We can
Oh,
only
crazy.
expect it to keep going, especially, you know, efforts like what you guys are doing there, and the continuity. And I think not just the continuity, but the inclusivity. I think the decision to make a memorial is, we did the same thing here. We were running a tournament in honor of our friend Dushan, and it was the Dushan and Elko Memorial. And last year we went to a new course, and we just opened it up to, we want to honor, we want to share the honor. And,
Hmm.
there's that golden glow that we can bring them all in. And tournaments can be an emotional, wonderful thing.
Exactly. Exactly. They are. There's a lot of emotion out there, whether it be from the competitive spirit or just the fact that, like you're saying, it brings them back to someplace previous, and it goes back to that continuity too. We try to bring something, yeah, where, it's a family, it's like a family reunion every year. It's great to see the people that have been coming out here for 15, 20 years, ever since I've been involved, that it's like, oh my God, welcome back,
Well, you got
so
the
yeah,
snowbird effect
awesome.
working to your benefit
Yes.
as well. I mean, like so many people that are trying to run from cabin fever want to be on that list of people that are playing your event, and then the people that aren't too. It's a great mix. That's one of those things. Like I really like Juliana said it really well when she came back the first time in a long time, 3, 4, 5 years ago. And she said,
Hmm.
I'm glad I'm still a member of the family, and this is a great family reunion. And it is. It really is.
Right.
There's so many people that you're going to see at the memorial. That you don't necessarily have to go to every place else to see them, because you will catch a lot of them.
Yeah, it was something like, I mean, back in the day, you remember they didn't do the Worlds on the West Coast. The Memorial was basically where you went to see big guys or Vegas, or Masters Cup, but for the most
Yeah,
part,
yeah.
they weren't doing Worlds out West. So I signed more Team Discraft guys at the Memorial than I ever did at Worlds, because I was wanting to gobble up the West Coasters more than anything. But yeah, it was like, get them in their backyard. But yeah, definitely it was something to where, I don't know, it was just a different kind of feel for sure, where it was just more of that. Granted, you want to have a great tournament, but it's an event. I always looked at it as just like a whole experience, you know. There's something about
Well,
even just hanging out at Duke's, is just a big part of the week.
That's even if you don't drink, and I've drank in there and I've not drank in there, and that is part of the deal. That's 100%
Hmm.
part of the deal. 100%. So we're hearing from a bunch of different people from everywhere. Vance Anderson said Gail was so wonderful, and obviously she was. And then he prompted Scanny to jump in as well. My buddy from Wichita, Robert Mans, is just being a smart ass, talking about making a difference and stuff like that. My Arrow tuned in for a little bit.
My hero.
Josh
nice.
Killingsworth, Dennis Warzen, Jeff Bennett, my cousin
Yeah.
Sidney Mace turned in. Scanny sent me some pictures I'll send you later, B, that are of
Cool.
you and I at the Worlds in 01 when they were in the Twin Cities. And my friend Josh, hold on. Big Kevin McCoy said he got to see
Ah,
Prince thanks to Keith Murray.
that's
He's out.
right. At the Palace of Auburn Hills. And he came
There
out
you
wearing a
go.
Tayshaun Prince
I played
jersey.
the
It was
Palace of Auburn Hills
awesome.
with Rat in like
Ha!
1992.
Round and
No
round.
way.
Yes,
Nice.
round and
Round
round.
and round it goes.
Yes,
That's
sir. Yes, sir.
hilarious.
I
Wow.
also played the Joe. I haven't played the new building, which probably won't
Man,
happen at this point, but I
McCoy
played
and
the
I
Joe
drove
a
up to
couple times.
TIO one year.
That was the
We might
year.
have came up to TIO a few years together.
Couple
Oh
times. Oh
man.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
For sure.
04, 05, 06 maybe. Oh,
Yeah,
there
for
were some
sure.
crazy days.
So my local buddy here, Josh, he's one of my Christmas light guys too. He asked, what was the most commemorative Memorial Championship moment you've experienced? And like, I'm almost
Ooh.
certain I know it's got to have something to do with Sue, but maybe there's something else that really touched you too. Who knows?
I mean, there are so many. I mean, some that stand out. I mean, it's like Sue being out there in the green wig that last year, in 2011, and she was rocking the wig because of chemo, and she had that bright green, and she was always wearing the spinners on the green shirt, and
That's the perfect thing for her.
and she was just they let us have golf carts out there so she could be, carted around and watch some action, and I don't know, something about that just always sticks out to me, like you know, she knew it was rough. She knew it was not going to be a happy ending, but man, the way she powered through that, and you know, she wanted to be out there, and unfortunately, it wasn't 6 months that we lost her. So basically it was, and her birthday was right after. Her birthday is March 6th. And so we always try to remember this time of year. She did so much. I mean, Dano did a lot for the course. Dano knew the guys, but Sue is the one that taught me how to run a tournament. I mean,
Mm.
she did everything. She did
I had
everything on the back end, all the spreadsheets. I mean,
I
everything.
had so many great conversations about events with Sue. I mean, just so many different things, just little things. You know, like I almost
Right.
always would stay till Monday, and she'd invite me to go to have breakfast with y'all on Monday morning before I'd leave town. And I remember, you know, a lot of different
That's
conversations
that
we had.
where everybody came over. Luckily, the Monday after the memorial, the Price is Right was going to be
Yes,
on,
yes,
and we had almost everybody: Des, Jay,
pretty much
you, Barry, Kevin. I mean, most of the people that were
everybody that
there.
was there, and then a bunch of who's who on top of that. That was epic.
Right.
That was
I mean, what
epic.
were the
And,
chances that they aired it the Monday after Memorial, and we had
well, they
just
were
a
supposed to
great
air it on
little
Friday, and it got bumped to Monday.
right. It
And
got
so we
bumped to
already
Monday.
had plans. We'd already were planning
Yeah,
on watching it Friday somewhere, and then it got bumped
yeah,
because of the
bumped to
UN
Monday.
speech or something. And so then we
Yeah, that
all
was
just
great.
jam into Dan and Sue's house. Yeah,
That's
that
a
was epic.
definite standout to me for sure. Because I remember we all jammed into Jay and Dez's their rig first. That was like the first, and then we jammed into the house to watch it. Oh my god, that was great. But yeah, that one really stands out. And Timmy beating Barry in the playoff in 04.
Timmy's
That was with the
speech.
sun setting. I mean, oh,
Timmy's
that
speech at that event too. That was epic.
right.
I mean,
I
like,
mean, there's been some great moments. It's been. I feel very fortunate to be involved as much as I am with this event because yeah, there's been some really special times and plenty of special times that aren't even mentionable on the internet. So
oh, for sure. One for
plenty.
me, I had a pretty I had a pretty cool one last year, and it doesn't. I mean, it just was just like kind of a strange moment, but it was really cool after I realized exactly what was going on. But when I was messing with the permanent trophy last year, which I need you to take a photo of the font where I'm missing, please, just to send it, just as a reminder.
Oh sure.
But
I think it's Impact, but I'll double check.
I think you're right. But just take a picture of that for me, anyways. But anyways, I was cleaning the top of that cooler where that trophy sits up there, and for anybody that hasn't been there, Dan had me make a Shine on Sue trophy, which is a permanent trophy of the memorial. It has all the winners up to about, well, 6 years ago, since that was when I started. And it's a 3-piece lamp that's like the biggest one I've ever made. And it's on your drink cooler in the shop. And there's a few other things up there. And so like I was cleaning up the whole thing, and I'm standing up on the ladder, and I pick up the urn and like almost immediately realize that it's Sue without even looking in it or anything like that. And Alex was standing right there, and I go, "Is this your mom?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, it is. You want me to hold that?" And I was like, "Would you please?" And like handed it down off the ladder. But it was just one of those things where I was like, "I bet you this is Sue." Like I just knew when I picked it up. I was like, "I bet you this is Sue's ashes right here." And that was really, I mean, I don't know. Some people would have really been crept out by it, but I was really cool by me. You know, I mean, it was just like, "Oh, okay. Hey, Sue, miss you."
Yeah, she's definitely around here. That's for sure. Trying to make sure I'm not messing up too much.
Well, there
So-
you go.
Yeah, some fun
So-
stuff.
So let's talk about spinners on the green. Let's finish off with that. This is Dan. You say Dano still co-owns it.
Yeah.
Does he show up at the shop? Does he do any work, or are you just carrying all the mail in that too?
We try to get him in here more. You know, he is getting away from construction as much as we can. We're trying to get him to do more
Nice.
lessons and get in
Nice.
here more. And so that's the main goal, is to get him. I mean, but basically I'm the managing, run the place, get this bad boy going, run the website, all that fun stuff. So check out spinnersonthegreen.com. But yeah, it's something that the more we get him in here and get him away from killing himself on the construction side of things, you know, it kills his body anymore. And so luckily we've been able to get him, like I said, doing some more lessons. And the goal is to get him in here quite a bit more, because people like the history too. They want to have a
Oh,
Hall of
yeah.
Famer,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
He's
It's
on
almost
our
like a
he's on our
custom disc
radar
fitting.
too.
Yeah,
We want to
Nice.
have him on.
yeah,
We definitely
absolutely.
want to have him on the show without a doubt.
Oh, great.
I
Awesome.
plan on negotiating this in
I'll
person
have to
this
get him
weekend.
set up because he will have no idea how to do this. So I'll basically have to
We'll have to do
get
it
him
right
set
there,
up.
right where
Right,
you're
Yeah, you've
exactly. I'll
already got
set
the
it up
set
all
made
for
already
him.
and everything.
I'll
That'll be
leave Zoom
perfect.
downloaded on here. So yep, we'll just have it right here. Because yeah, he is definitely not very technology friendly, but yeah, no, he's great. Definitely a good guy to talk to. And yeah, you talk about some crazy stories from history, man.
Oh man,
Yeah, more than
he
enough.
was one of the original touring guys. You know, like
Yeah,
maybe
him and
the
Steve
original.
Valencia. He and Steve Valencia were the original touring guys to hit the road and try to make a full-time living of it during the summer. And
Yeah,
actually,
can't
I
wait
can
to-
show you a sweet
Oh
little
yeah, yeah,
sneak
yeah.
peek. Speaking of Dano, so they actually made the Rattler for Dano back in the 90s
To
because he was
replace the
putting with a
Super
super
Puppy?
pupper. Exactly. He was putting with a super puppy. And so he said, Jim, I'd love to be sponsored by you, but I need a super puppy. So Jim said, all right, I'll make it a
No
Rattler.
problem.
Wow.
Oh, dude, they made these Crystal Flex Sparkle Rattlers for us. I requested these because one, I mean, it's always a good fun throwback for Dano, but two, those darn glitches have been going crazy, and it's just a throw and catch, it's a putter disguising as a throw and catch or whatever. And so they've been selling like bonkers, and they were just like, I want some Crystal Flex Rattlers that people can throw. And Mike was a little worried. Mike Wagner, he was like, oh man, they're all going to be in the 50s. I'm like, that won't matter. That makes them even better. You can still torque the heck out of these. It's crazy. Me and Dan were out throwing it when they first got them, and oh my God, they're awesome. So this is going to be the big hit. We just put them out today, and already some of the Team Discraft guys are walking out with stacks of them. They can't wait to see how far. We might even try to do like a little impromptu distance, have like a Rattler distance competition, which would be super
Nice.
cool. So yeah, that was super fun. Definitely a really nice piece that Discraft made. I can show you some other stuff too if you want to see it. We got the Raptors. This is going in the amateur players pack, which so is that Rattler. So all the amateurs, in addition to getting $100 spinners on the green gift card, they get one of those Rattlers. They get this
Tone on
white out
tone?
glow Raptor.
Is it a
Yeah.
ghost stamp or tone on tone? Oh, tone on tone.
It's
Okay.
a tone on tone. Yep, we're calling it the white out glow Raptor. And then we
Nice.
got these thick flex zones in a swirl, Z Flex swirl. That's really killer. Oh, I showed off the Rattler. We're actually debuting the ESP Venom. So we got first run ESP Venoms. That's going in all the amateur packs. These actually don't even drop until I think March 10th. Yeah, so we got these a little early. And then of course a beautiful crystal buzz.
This is all in
we
the
haven't had
players pack?
crystal buzzes. Yeah, that's all in the players pack. In addition to the $100 gift card, they're getting a $100 gift card. All these 5 discs, and then some other Discraft swag, some wristbands, a bottle opener, and then we're even giving all the pros a sweet ice sail, from our friends over at DGA. So even the pros will walk away with something with a tournament logo on it this year, which is always cool. And then everybody gets a free beer coupon to Duke's. Huss Brewing is a local brewery that they're a big partner of ours. And Al works with them and does a free pint for all the competitors. So I got 432 beer coupons to give away.
Wow.
And then this isn't in the package. They'll be up online soon, but check this out. The 35th most excellent. Dude, it's Bill and Ted. I had Mike Barnard.
You need to make me a little stack of some of these discs, so you know what I'm saying.
Dude, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I
make a little
love the
pile
Bill and Ted.
Wow.
I'll give you the card when I get there.
Look at so crazy.
Oh, we got some
one.
negotiating to do anyways.
Dude, it's crazy. And what I even discovered just recently, like Sigmund Freud's peeking out of the phone booth over here, like, dude, this thing.
Mike's a badass, man. There's no question.
He is such a badass. Like, I just asked him, you ever done anything with a phone booth? And he goes, Bill and Ted's. And I'm like, yes. And he was like, oh, I'm on it. So, yeah, he does amazing, amazing work. Big shout out to Mike Barnard. He's been doing the memorial artwork since 2020. And yeah, just knocks it out of the park. So, such a cool cat.
You seem to still have quite a bit of pull with Discraft there. I mean, I know you've officially left them, but like you're telling them you're flexing the flex over there. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? We've stayed so close. So basically every time I go back home, I swing by the factory, I go swing by Mike's. Mike and I always hang out. They always come to town for Memorial Championship. It's a great week for them to get out of the cold. Now Jim's bought a place here. Like I was talking to him, I've been trying to get him out to come watch the memorial. And finally, last year, he's like, all right, I'm coming out. I'm renting an Airbnb. I'm coming out for like a month. Sweet, no way. I've never gotten you out. Now you're out for a month. That's great. Shows up, gets the Airbnb. He brought a couple e-bikes with him. Next thing you know, he figures out Scottsdale is like the biking capital of the US. It's always like in the top 3 for great bike cities. So he can bike everywhere he wants to go. The weather's great. Next thing you know, he's putting an offer in on a house on the side of a mountain. I'm like, oh my goodness, this guy. And so, yep, he closes on it before his Airbnb was even up. And it's awesome. You know, he's got this great house that's overlooking Scottsdale. And so, yeah, now he's here. He just got back. He winters. He left during the summer. As soon as it started hitting around 90, he was like, all right, see ya. And then got back in November, you know, so he's even hanging out here now, which is awesome. But yeah, we stayed so tight. I mean, I love those guys. I look at Jim as like a father figure. He's like my mentor, you know. He's taught me everything I know about business just from watching him. You know what I mean? It's like I never went to business school. I just, you know, I have good rapport with people. I figured out early on that I could talk to people. My sales style isn't, I'm never trying to push anything down anybody's throat. I'm going to listen to what you want and hopefully find something. I want you to trust. That's where I, you know, build a relationship. I want you to trust that what I suggest is in your best interest. You know, that I'm not just trying to sell you something that's got a bunch of dust on it, but we're here to try to help you enjoy disc golf more, you know. And that's really, you know, a lot of it's come from Jim. I watched how he kind of laid down the law at Discraft and wanted us to deal with customers and such. And so, yeah, that's been great. So having him out here, and like Dano's like my big brother, Jim's like my dad, you know, it's Mike's like my brother. I mean, we just had such a great relationship. Bob Julio's been out running the Discraft Fly Mart in front of Spinners the last 2 days. So that's been awesome. Yeah, I just love those cats.
Well, you know, one of the things that was really cool last year was a conversation that you and I had, and it was it related to spinners. And I've been paying attention for a while, and you talked about well, I noticed right away that you guys didn't have bikes, and that it really allowed you to relax your footprint in a lot of ways, where you had stuff jammed in as well as the bikes before. And I remember you telling me that was prompted by conversation you had with Jim. And so I thought that was really cool and interesting. Well, you know, and it's always nice, these little conversations that I end up having with you and folks like you and everything like that. But it's also just interesting the way that you put things. Like he talked about, okay, we'll figure out what your square foot, what you're earning on your square footage, or what you're earning per square foot with this and with that, and whichever thing's right, let that take over. And I was like, it's just that easy. I mean, it really is just that easy, you know. And
Yeah,
sometimes it takes
it's like,
it takes somebody that you hold in high regard to just point those easy things out to you, and then you're able to move forward, you know. So but then
right.
also it's really cool that I've been paying attention for obvious reasons to what you guys have been doing out there. And I remember when it was in half of that space, or maybe a third of that space in the beginning, and like you barely had anything, and like you have all the space well used right now, and all the people, including Alex. Like I was really proud to know Alex last year, just listening to him talk, and like all the questions that came to him, he knew all the answers, you know.
Sure.
And it was really cool for me, because I know a little about his history and everything, and I've known him since he was just past knee high. And
Mhm.
to see him like really embracing it, and fully just totally immersing himself in the knowledge and knowing, what does this disc do? And you know, and I heard him answer that question 20 plus times, and he was
Right.
on point. And I was just like, going, shit, I remember when I was like that. I ain't like that at all anymore, you know. Like I don't know how people keep up.
I don't know half the names anymore. No, it's crazy. Especially their manufacturers are coming out of the woodwork, you know, and people hit us up all the time. But really, it's like you got to make a name for yourself first. You know, I got to have customers basically asking for it. You know, that's how we gauge what to bring in. I had a ton of customers asking for Berg, so I'm like, shit, I guess it's time to bring in Castaplast. So we wound up, you know, bringing them in a couple of years ago. But yeah, when it came to like the bikes too, it was basically the pandemic. You know, disc golf exploded so much that I was finding it hard to use the space for 35 bikes that we used to have in here. And so, yeah, we've been packed on top of each other. I do feel like we're still, you know, I mean, it's, even though it looks better and it's we got more space, I still feel like it's packed, you know, that but it's always from the
Yeah, but I
inside
think
looking
you're
out, it's going to
getting
be different,
I think you're
you
getting way better,
know.
and obviously you know better than I do, but I just from the looks, I think you're getting better.
Sure.
out of your space, because, you know, I mean, if that's what's moving, then that's what you need to be stocking in there, especially with a limited space.
I'm definitely ready to probably, we're kind of waiting to see maybe when the doc retires, bust down another wall. Cause yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's
Oh,
gonna
there you
keep getting
go.
bigger and bigger,
That'll be you and Dukes and whoever's hanging on with by a thread over there, right?
Right, I mean, yeah, we're like the anchors over here, that's for sure. Dukes
Nice.
is our main anchor, and then we try to bring in as many awesome people as we can.
All right, so
But yeah,
share
Well,
some
you'll get to
info.
meet April now, actually. You've never met April before. She's our newest employee.
Oh,
I
cool.
hired her over the summer. So yeah, with women being one of the biggest markets of growth we've seen, more ladies playing disc golf now than ever, it made sense to find somebody to kind of come in because it's night and day,
It's got the
you
knowledge.
know?
Sure.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is that she picked it up recently. She's just newer within the last couple of years. So it's not even like she's a fountain of knowledge, but at the same time, she knows what she's tried, what's worked for her. I'm like, you're basically going on this journey with these new ladies. You know what's worked
Perfect.
for you know what hasn't worked. And I'm like, yeah, just tell them what you've tried and go from there. And so yeah, she's been awesome. She's really helping out a lot. She's actually running our volunteers this weekend for Memorial Championship, and so she's been really on point with that too. So yeah, you'll get to meet the newest member of Team Spinners.
wow. Well, I mean, you've got amazing ratings on Facebook, on UDisc. You got high star ratings with a couple of low, obviously, but almost everything is positive. It's great to see that level of success, and it's amazing to hear the growth that's really you guys have been able to capture that growth, and I see in a way you're passing along the knowledge. You're passing along the how to run things in the right direction, how to be organized, but also be personable, be approachable, and it's about the service. It really is, and that's especially in our
Number
world now
one.
where we're going to self-serve checkout and everything's robotic. To have that person, that human touch, that's still one of the most important things in the world, and one of our biggest assets in disc golf.
For sure, for sure. And that's our number one. As far as I'm concerned, any industry really should focus on customer service because without the customer, you're SOL. So,
Yeah.
but we
And
are
it's so easy in this
specifically,
business.
I
So,
know, right?
so
I mean,
easy.
it's like you just so focused. I got an email from a customer today that was just so thrilled. He said it was the most excited he's ever been to open a package. It was some of the 6 claws, and it was before he placed an order. It sent me an email asking about some stuff, so I responded back, and we had a really good conversation back and forth on email. And then next thing you know, he places an order. He put in his notes what he wanted, and I just picked out some of the ones that I thought were super cool looking things I would like in my bag. And yeah, he sends me an email today. Oh my God, dude, these are amazing. Actually took pictures and attached those to the email to show me what I sent him. And just like, dude, this was the best ever. Thank you so much. Good luck with the memorial and everything this week. He actually wound up sharing the link in like some buzz group saying, hey, Spinner still has some buzzes. And we wake up to like 16 orders. All the buzzes sold out on the website that night. So I was like, yeah, thanks for sharing that link too, buddy. And yeah, he was just like, how'd you find such sweet ones? I'm like, I just looked for something that I thought you might like, man. And so, yeah, all we can do is focus on that. When they say the customer is always right, you can't preach that enough. It's something to where it's not that hard to, take that extra little bit to give outstanding customer service. And I feel like,
Mhm.
unfortunately too many people don't, they feel like it's unachievable or something, but really it's usually just listening a little bit more. More often than not, the customer's telling you what they want. You just have to be receptive and figure out how to get them what they're looking for. But at the same time, some folks just they come in looking for the wrong thing. And you know what, all right, try that T-Rex. I know it's your first time playing, and you saw this guy
But it
online
looks
throw
so
a
good.
T-Rex really far, right? Give it but let me know. We can do $4 store credit when you trade it in. Kind of thing.
Uh,
Sometimes you just gotta, let them, learn on their own.
Right.
But yeah, it's so funny. It still amazes me to this day how many guys won't touch a pink disc. It baffles my mind,
Yeah.
especially out
yeah,
here with all the
well,
water, the desert. you know, orange and yellow go into the desert. Blues and purples and greens you're not finding in the water. Pink's perfect everywhere. And nope, some guys, well, I won't throw a pink disc. One more for me, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
More selection for me.
That's
Uh,
that's
Well,
kind of
listen,
simple.
we should wrap this up. It's been amazing
Hey,
talking to you.
so
Thanks for reserving the time. Oh, sorry, Mace. You want to go ahead?
Oh.
before we close up, let's hear what you wanted to drop a little bit of info, like feature groups and stuff like that.
Oh no, that's true. Yeah, it's exciting because actually we're getting
Oh.
ready to fully close
we're
Memorial
gonna do this.
registration in just under 20 minutes. So yeah, Memorial registration officially closes at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And so basically that's when I go through, refund all the waitlisters that haven't made it in, make sure there aren't any last minute drops and folks I can get in off the wait list. And then I'll have the first round tee times posted by 9 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So those will be up on pdga.com. And our good buddy, the disc golf guy, Terry Miller, is in town. If you haven't seen his footage of the Shelly Sharp Memorial on YouTube, search 2023 Shelly Sharp Memorial. It's amazing. He has multiple featured cards, first round. He's got first lead card and chase cards following. He's got women's coverage from all 3 rounds. So yeah, the disc golf guy, Terry Miller, he is amazing. So he was in earlier today. We were discussing who we want to feature for the 2023 Memorial Championship first round. So what's really exciting news is that we're going to be able to feature 4 cards. We're going to do 4
I was
cards.
just about to ask how
Yeah,
many.
I know, right? We're going to wind up splitting up too. We're going to do a card of Masters because we got some really awesome names in Masters. We are going to have a featured card of FPO as well as 2 featured cards in the MPO. So we'll start off with our Masters. And this guy, it's amazing. He's playing Masters. He doesn't look a day over 20. He just took down Vegas, which I thought he was supposed to make his debut Masters here, but Kale is going to be playing on our featured MP40 card for Thursday afternoon.
So he's 39, turning 40, though, right? I mean,
exactly.
you gotta at least give him that.
I wanted to check his ID. I'm like, come on, really? And then we have new addition to Team Discraft, all the way from Denmark, our great buddy KJ. So he's going to be featured in round 1 of the MP40 division.
Cool.
One of the best guys you'll ever want to meet, and just one of our top friends, Pete Uliberry. Pete Uliberry is just so awesome. And so figured let's go ahead and showcase Pete. And then I've known this guy forever. I can't believe, I mean, he's just so good. I love that he comes out every year. I wish the wife and kids would be with him. Steve Brinster is going to be joining our featured MP40, dude. I know, Brinster's awesome. Yeah. So big shout out to his kids really Leslie, well. Missed you. Oh, sure. So you bring him down there. Yeah. That makes sense.
Leighton won our children's division of the putting contest at the
no way.
And once he found out that you could qualify as many times as you wanted, he was over there for hours every day.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Him and his sister both hung out. Lydia loved Tom's dog.
I haven't seen Leslie in forever. I mean, I couldn't tell you the last. It's crazy. That's so awesome. So yeah, that's going to be a super fun MP40 group. On our FPO, we got Jen Allen, the amazing local that took down the Shelly Sharp Memorial this year. So that was huge. We have one of the top European ladies in Anakin. I'm going to butcher her last name and I don't have it up in front of me, but it's Anakin S. So she's, I want to say Finnish. And so Terry was mentioning her that she's one of the top European ladies. I'm like, that's awesome. We're going to have Owen Scoggins, a big friend of ours. She comes out to many, many events out here. And she's always super cool. Division. Oh my goodness, she's super strong and super cool. And then we have another fun local to watch, Sarah Isaac. Man, this girl is an up and comer. She took second to Jen at the Shelly, and this is a girl to watch. She's on the Discraft Underground, and man, I think she's got big things. She's also on Team Spinners, so shameless plug right there as well. So go Sarah Isaac. On one of our MPO featured cards, and I'm not saying our 1 or 2. I mean, they're both just so stacked. On one of our featured cards, we're going to have Connor Rock, which not a lot of people have heard of, but this kid, I think he took 14th at Vegas. He's a young gentleman. I shouldn't say too young. He's in his early 20s. Originally from Lakeside, Pine Top, Arizona. Pete Uliberry kind of worked with him early on, you know, and we've just watched this kid really come into his own. So super nice kid. He's going to be part of our featured group. Vano. Oh, and I'm going to I'm not even going to try his last name either. He's another top. He's actually, I think, our top rated European player out this week.
Nice.
Let me try to take a stab at it. Beno Makala or Makala. Beno Makala, one of
Man,
those.
you just
a
have to
pair of
ask them to
super
tell you
nice.
how to pronounce it proper. I did that at a distance
Exactly,
qualifier.
I know.
And that was the best thing about having a distance qualifier that I was at this year, because I got to talk to him and go, look, if you tell me how to say it proper, I will say it proper.
Right.
And
I leave that to my
I'm
starters.
gonna butcher it.
I have starters for that. Joining that card is going to be Gannon Burr. Gannon, our U.S. Open champion. So
Nice,
great
nice.
kid. And then Paul Ulibarri. He's going to be on that
Nice.
first featured card as
Arizona fan
well.
favorite of all time.
Oh my
for sure.
goodness, right? Exactly. He swung by the shop today. I gave him a big old hug. I haven't seen him in too long. He was supposed to be at the Shelley, but then he got caught up in some media thing. So that didn't work. And then, of course, last but not least, we're going to have Aaron. I guess it's the first for the second. So our second featured card, we're going to have Aaron Gossage, who was out at the Shelley. He's always a fun guy to watch. Super cool cat. We have Anthony Barella, another newer
Nice,
Team Discraft
local.
pickup, who, yep, local. That is just super cool cat. We love us some AV around here. He and his mom and dad were just in earlier again, as a matter of fact. He was one of the ones checking out those rattlers. He's like, oh my God, these feel amazing. I'm like, yep, and now you can throw them, buddy. We have our 2023 Shelly Sharp champion, Andrew Marwee, Team DGA. So
Okay.
he played so well during the Shelly. We'll be able to see if maybe that gives him a little heads up, a little edge on the competition. And then we got a gentleman coming out for the first time, but he's one of the top rated players out there, Isaac Robinson. You know, he's
Nice.
actually hasn't been out before. And it's like, oh
Those
my
guys
God,
are
what a
great.
super cool kid. Yeah, you
Isaac
know,
and
it's
Ezra,
really nice.
They're some of
Right?
my favorites. I think that
Yeah.
we should just call the Monday qualifying the Robinson qualifying, because him, his dad, and his brothers have put a lot of entry fees into that before it got to the point where it's the format that it is now. When you could quit and go
Sure.
back and start and pay another 50, they did it a few times. Like it was like a family event. And here's the thing too, is there's at least 3 more of those Robinson brothers coming.
Oh, really?
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
watch out.
Oh yeah.
Jeez,
So
oh,
there's a
geez.
bunch. These are just the 2 that you know now. There's
That
gonna
are
be
getting going.
There'll be,
Yeah.
I'd say 2 or 3 more. I mean, there is 2 or 3 more that I know of for sure. I'm pretty sure there's 5 of them. And I don't know
Wow.
if they'll all continue to go off or not, but they all have so far.
It could be quite the
So
clan.
it's
Well,
really
yeah,
cool.
though,
It's
that
like
should
I've
be a
known them since
lot
they
of
were
fun.
little. That was one of those friendships from the championship year after year after year after year too. So,
Mhm.
it was really cool to see him win the rookie of the year. And when I saw him in Emporia last summer, I just gave them both a big old hug because I was like, man, I've been rooting for you guys all year, I've known you
That's
forever. So
awesome.
it's awesome. It is. It really is cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun, man. We'll have the full tea time list up tonight on pdj.com. Like I said, I'm gonna get that up by 9 p.m. Mountain, so just over an hour. And but those should be around. So our last card will go off around 2:20 every day. So that'll be one of the featured MPOs. The other one will be just 8 minutes before that, essentially like 2:12 or give or take. So, and then our ladies, our FPO featured should go off around 11-ish. It's basically we kind of plan it to make sure that we get the filming coverage, and then that they can be done filming the FPO to get going on the MPO started. And that works out really well for the fan too, because basically you can follow the ladies, and then 18 and 1 are right there. So basically you watch them throwing their
There you
putts,
go.
turn around, and you see the top guys going off.
I'll bring
So
them
yeah,
back again.
should be a great week, man. Really looking forward to it. Crazy. Back already.
It's already time, dude. It's already time.
Woo!
Well,
It's
we
not the
go.
last minute yet, though. I got 2 more half days of work on your trophies before I head that way.
Got this.
with
Here's
a
one.
wing and a
I believe
prayer.
in
Here's
you.
one now.
Oh,
Look at that beauty.
Well,
It's
it doesn't
blending
really work
in.
with the camera.
Just hold it in front of you. There you
go.
go. Yeah. Oh, that's pretty sick, dude.
wow.
You always blow my mind, Mace. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think you're really gonna like it. These little ones, they grew a lot.
He's just
This is a
leaving them
little
lying
one.
around, Keith.
I still got a paperweight sitting right here. It's got the maybe tough to see the SOS Shine on Sue
Oh,
logo.
yeah.
Great, yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but yeah, I love this paperweight. We love rocking out the colors of the Arizona flag, and yeah, you just do some amazing stuff, man. So I couldn't be happier that we got that going. That was kismet. It
Yeah,
was
the
meant to
Switch
be.
here now, so it's
Right.
I dig
It's
it too.
awesome.
I definitely dig it too. And man, you know, I mean, I still got a lot to learn. Don't get me wrong, but my skills are pretty tuned up right now, and we'll talk more about this when we get there. But your project put me through my paces for sure, for sure.
I like
So,
to keep you on your toes,
well, it's the combo too of the whole transition from the Christmas lights into the back into this, and really honestly,
Quick turnaround.
I know I've said this before, but I'm just gonna go ahead and make those like in July before they turn it off this year or something. And just
Right.
get it out of the way,
Uh,
and then it'll be not as much of a chore. But it was, man, I'm telling you, I can't wait to show them. I cannot wait to show them.
I'm excited. I'm
Dude,
excited.
listen, really appreciate you taking more than an hour of your time this week.
Yeah.
I thought there was a better than 50-50 chance that you'd say no, but I really do appreciate you saying yes. And we'll thanks so much and good luck this week. And I'll be seeing you on Friday or early Saturday.
No, thank you guys. I mean, I couldn't resist when you said Mr. B is going to be on here. I was like, oh my God. I mean, it's something to where I need to see you guys more often because
Yeah.
you once a year isn't enough, and you once every 10 years is certainly not enough, Mr.
Certainly
B.
not.
So yeah, no,
Absolutely.
we definitely need to, even if we just hang out and bullshit for a while on one of these one day, I
Well, that
definitely
too.
need some more of you guys in my life because yeah, like you said, I mean, it's something that I always used to count on going up to Toronto every year, and it was just one of my high points.
Me too, man.
It's one of my
Seriously.
absolute favorite. If it wasn't for the snow, I could have probably been super happy living up there the rest of my life. I mean, that is one of my favorite cities in the world. So
No
yeah, it
question.
definitely, and the people are a big part of that. I mean, just the way you were so welcoming, B, and just bringing us into your home and everything. It was just, yeah, it was a great experience, and man, I miss it. Miss
Fun
it.
fun fact about Toronto, Gail McCall from Toronto. Jim Kenner spent much of the early 70s in Toronto with
Mhm.
Ken Westerfield, met Gail in Toronto. So
That is right.
there's a
There you go.
long-standing Toronto connection with disc golf, the history of disc golf, and evidently the history of Discraft too. So,
Man,
but
it's like
it's all
catalyst maybe in there.
everything's connected at some point, right? But
I
listen, my
love it.
man, you got a lot of work to do. Thank you for taking the
Get
time.
back
Honestly,
at
it was
it.
really great to
Yes,
see
sir.
you. And man, just keep doing what you do, pal. Deliver it all with that smile.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me. And be sure check out the Action Disc Golf Guys YouTube channel, Memorial Championship. There's always going to be some exciting action out here. So check it out. We'll check
Yeah,
you
without a
later.
doubt. Have a good one, Keith. See you soon.
Good
You
luck.
too,
Keith.
guys. We'll see you soon, B.
Take it
Right
easy.
on.
Later.
All right. There you go. All right, folks. Thanks for tuning in. We had quite a few people on Facebook Live and
Wow,
look,
cool.
a couple other people on the Zoom side too. That really, I thought that was a good one. That his knowledge is awesome with all of that, and
Yeah.
I think that good times. I'm worn out now.
I'm worn out too. He was a great guest. He really not only knowledgeable but very fluid. Spoke very well, and a lot of points that he touched on that we could always circle back to. One of the things that I wanted to talk to him about was how there comes inevitably a point in a lot of player promoter careers where they have the crossroads. They think to themselves, I can either try to dedicate myself to being a good player or be the promoter side. And it's very, very rare that someone could be a success on both sides. I think Dan Ginnelly is one of the few examples
Certainly. Yeah, no
of
question
that.
about it.
But I think the world is much better for the fact that Keith decided he was going to be that promoter, not a player. And look what he's done. It's great.
Yeah, and that's I can remember. I remember when I made that transition. Well, I guess let me rephrase that. I remember when that transition started, and it was when I came to realize while we were on tour that all of us, and I mean all of us, were talking shit about whoever was doing whatever they were doing on our behalf at every stop and every week, you know what I mean? And like just railing on TVs, talking shit about the courses, running this into the ground, running that into the ground. And I was just like, well, obviously, you know, if I'm talking like this, then I feel like I can do it better. And so I should probably start trying. And, you know, that kind of coincided with the same time frame where I really needed to try to come up with some way to survive in the winter. I felt like without going back to the entertainment business, which honestly, looking back now, that was smart in some ways, but in other ways, trying to stay out of the entertainment business was not smart. And I should have kept a little bit of that in the mix during those years, because things would have been a lot easier, and especially when I decided to go back to it. But you know, like I kind of came to the conclusion that hey, I obviously think I can do a pretty good job at this, and I, you know, I'm not infallible and without fault in that, but I can run a pretty decent tournament.
And look, you're
And
making the trophies, dude. I mean, like,
well,
that's
and
just,
that's, you know,
it's
and that's you, and
honestly, it's not just like the running a tournament side as the promoting side. I mean, it's what we're doing right here. You
oh
know?
yeah, and obviously, you know, Brandon and I are putting our feet back into the pond, and we drug you along with us, and now, not that this is a Mace Man enterprise, this is a B and me enterprise, and me and B enterprise. So I mean, but you know, we're going to promote it through Mace Man as well.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and that kind of brings me to, we should probably talk a little bit about what our plan is going forward, you know, including like going with Tuesdays, every other Tuesday for now. If we as we've discussed, if we feel like we can pull off more than that, then we will, but we're going to at least do one every other week, so 2 a month. And we've got some people on our horizons. I mean, I'm going to put the hard sell on Dan this weekend for sure. You know, we got, I'm also going to talk with Jim Oates this weekend, so we'll get him on the schedule. Seeing Kevin chime in. Kevin McCoy's definitely got to be someone we add to our list without a doubt.
We already got Brad Schick
Schick's
on
already
there.
committed, so we just got to get these people on the schedule.
Yeah.
But this is the kind of people that we're going to go for. So I mean, you know, we're going to get some younger people eventually too, but
Yeah,
these are the
maybe.
people that we really know. And you know, as you and I have discussed, and we've said it before, but part of our goal is to tell the stories that haven't been told, you know, and
Yeah.
or that haven't been told to some of the younger people, I guess is a better way of putting that, you know. And you know, we definitely know a few.
Well, I mean, if between you and I, well, mostly you, you know, virtually everybody from back in the day, and those that
Yeah,
are
as long as it
still,
wasn't yesterday.
those, yeah, exactly. Those that are still around and still willing to talk to us, we want to talk to them. I
Without a
mean,
doubt.
it would be amazing to
Oh,
have Dan
Harold Hampton,
Clemente.
the general. I've
Hampton,
talked with
that's
the
right.
general. We're gonna have him on
Have him on for sure.
without a doubt.
But
So, but that being said, we're gonna try to do a Tuesday night show live on Facebook, and we're gonna we'll publish them over to our YouTube page. And we're working on it, and we're continuing to try to tune it up. So
we're gonna have
thanks for
our
tuning
next
in and
guest.
bear with us.
Thanks everybody. I don't know if you're still out there in virtual land, but it's if we haven't connected with you yet, we'd like to soon.
Right on.
All right,
Well,
Mr. Mix, I will talk to you. Maybe we can talk tomorrow.
yeah,
you
it's
doing?
not, it's way past your bedtime, huh, B?
Oh yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, come on.
Look at my eyes; they're
Like,
like little slits.
it's really, your eyes were little slits when we started. Don't give me that. Ah! All right, brother. Love you, man. I'll talk to you more real soon.
All right, buddy.
And
Take it easy.
we'll talk to you. Thanks again, everybody, for tuning in.
Hey, come on, to everybody out there. Come on.
Yeah, come on.